Hello and welcome to this week's news from Lanzarote, your favourite island. And don't forget to stay tuned to the end when I'll be sharing 3 things I think you should be doing if you're on the island next week. We've got loads and loads of news this week and lots of interesting bits and pieces for you, so stick with us. Now, I'm going to start off by talking about sustainable fuel being used at the airport, and Cepsa, who are the company that supplies aviation fuel to the big tanks at the airport that fuel up all the jets that come in and out of here, are introducing their new sustainable fuel product within the next couple of weeks. And it's 90% less polluting than regular kerosene jet fuel. And it's made from a number of organic products, including cooking oil. So if you get a whiff of chip fat next time you see an aircraft taking off at Lanzarote, you'll know where that comes from. I gather this fuel will be going in to Boeing 737 Maxes and all the Neo range of Airbus aircraft, because they're able to run it without any modifications to their engines. Now, over the last couple of days, the Marlin Cup has been going on here in Puerto Calero. And the Marlin Cup is a massive event. Around 50 sports fishing boats come in from all of the Canary Islands, and they compete each year to see who can catch the largest weight of marlin. It's kind of a really exciting thing. The fishing takes place on the Thursday and the Friday, with all the boats sort of departing en masse at 9 o'clock in the morning, and they will go to where they think the fish are. Some go all the way across almost to the African coast. Others go between the islands and to other parts. So you'll see them fanning out of Puerto Calero in the morning and then going off in lots of different directions. It all culminates in a big party on Saturday evening in Puerto Calero, where the prizes will be awarded, and there'll be live music and a dinner and just a big celebration of the Marlin Cup. Now, regular viewers will know that the stadium where UD Lanzarote football team play in Arrecife is having its pitch renewed at the moment. And we've seen pictures this week. The old pitch has been completely removed from it. The new pitch has actually arrived and is in rolls in the stadium. But the stage they have to do now is to redo the base layer and also change the irrigation. Now, the irrigation system. Now, that might confuse a few people because it's a synthetic pitch. It's a fake grass pitch. So why do we have an irrigation system? Well, for 2 reasons. The first is that it cools down the pitch surface when it has direct sun on it, which really reduces the temperature in the stadium. But secondly, it also dampens down any dust in the stadium, which builds up over the time and the years with the Kalimas here. So the existing one's very cool, but it's being renewed. It has little nozzles that come up before the match and they spray all the pitch, and then at half time they do the same thing. And of course the kids who support the matches love it. They run in and amongst the spinning water. So that's progressing quite well. The running track around the outside is also going to be renewed with a new blue surface. The old one was red, and it's hoped at this stage that the new stadium could be open in time for Carnival, which is going to be in February in 2025. So fingers crossed that UD Lanzarote will be playing at home again by the time we get to Carnival next year. Now, Lanzarote has a strong history of helping to train astronauts, going right back to the Apollo moon program in the 1960s. And that's because so many parts of the island resemble planets like the moon and Mars and so on and so forth. And we've got a team from the European Space Agency here at the moment who are doing their annual training course, and the astronauts are learning how to use the instruments and machines they've got that will analyze the geology and history of any other planets they visit. This year the team is being led by a British astronaut, Rosemary Coogan, who is part of the European Space Agency. Unemployment continues to fall here. It fell another 4% month on month in September, and the current number of unemployed on the island is over 8% down on the same month last year, on September last year. So good news on the economic front, as you'd expect with the number of tourist visitors we've had. And we also had good news, very good news actually for the island. There's a tradition here in Spain where on New Year's Eve, the midnight bells are rung from a different part of Spain. It could be a village, it could be a town or a city somewhere within Spain every year. And this year it's going to be coming from here in Lanzarote, specifically at the Hos del Agua. And it's a real coup for the island. It's very good publicity for Lanzarote. What will happen is there will be a 15-minute live program that will be broadcast from Hos del Agua around the hour of midnight, and the 12 bells will be tolled then. And the tradition here in Spain is that we each eat 12 grapes, one for each of those bell tolls, to give ourselves good luck for the coming year. And Telecinco will be broadcasting it to the whole of Spain. But one of the issues we face doing it here is that the rest of Spain is actually an hour ahead of us in time. So that program will be made around the hour of 11 o'clock local time, be broadcast across Spain live at midnight Madrid time a little bit later on, but there'll be another ringing of the bells locally for us that will just be broadcast to the Canaries at midnight our time. So it's all quite confusing, but it's still a great coup for Lanzarote and great publicity for the island. Now, the British police have sent us a press release saying they are seeking a man whose name is Thomas Dures. I'm not sure. It's spelt D-U-R-E-S. He's a 21-year-old, and he's wanted in connection with the murder of somebody called Matthew Dolby, who was 19 years old. And this murder apparently took place in Ormskirk in July 2023 in the northwest of England. The reason we've had the information, and it's been passed out across Spain, is that the chap they're looking for, Thomas Dures, has been is known to have connections with Spain, so he could be anywhere within the peninsula, the Balearics, or the Canary Islands. There is I gather, a €20,000 reward that has been put up for information leading to his arrest. So if you see him anywhere around, you're asked to contact the UK charity Crime Stoppers, which you can do anonymously with the information. Now, any of you who were connected with the island way back in 2009 will know that we had an absolute tragedy here. A small boat with migrants coming over from Africa capsized very close to the shore in Los Cocoteros in the north of Lanzarote. Some local people heroically threw themselves into the sea and rescued everybody they could, but ultimately 25 people drowned. And it still sends a shiver down my spine when I think about it. I remember the morning it all happened very well. There is a memorial to the people who died down at Los Cocoteros, and every time we're there, we always pause at that memorial and think about those people. The tragic news this week is that that has almost certainly been topped for the worst migrant tragedy in the Canary Islands. This one didn't affect Lanzarote, it affected El Hierro, and a boat with something like 98 people on board capsized off the coast of El Hierro. I think 40 odd have been rescued, 9 bodies have been recovered, but there are still something like 50 people unaccounted for, and given the amount of time since it happened, it's almost certain that they have died. So our thoughts are with them. It's an absolute tragedy for the Canary Islands, and the feeling this week has been one of shock, sadness, and a remembrance for those people that have been lost. You might remember on April the 20th of this year, we had a protest, among other things, about mass over-tourism in the Canary Islands, and in fact they also took place in the Balearics and some cities on the mainland. The platform, as they call themselves, that organised that original protest in April has called for another one to take place on the 20th of October. It doesn't really surprise me that this has happened, because although the politicians talked after the April one in very vague terms about consultations and detailed discussions and things like that, they so far haven't really addressed any of the key issues that were talked about and that the protesters were protesting about. And just to be clear about this, these protests are not about trying to stop tourism. It really irritates me that the British press particularly characterises them in that way. That isn't what they are about. They are about damping down the overall numbers of tourism, and we do have too much now. It's grown 12% versus last year, and last year was a record year. But more importantly, they are about having the infrastructure for the people who serve all those tourists. So it's all about affordable housing, decent water supply, the health service catching up with the increasing population of the island, and many, many other things. So it really is not an anti-tourism protest. It's if you could frame it in any way, it would be an anti-mass tourism protest. And I believe that if we can reduce the numbers by a sensible amount, perhaps 10%, everything will settle down and will start to relax. The reason another protest has been called for October is the politicians really haven't done enough yet to address this situation, and they really need to step up now and come up with some solid action plans that say, you know, we will do this, this, this and this by this date. So hopefully they will get the message and actually start to offer some ideas and solutions to the people who are suffering and unhappy at the moment. And I'm going to read this next bit because this is what the spokesperson for the platform said. We call for political actions that result in the improvement of the quality of life of residents and in the conservation and regeneration of the natural environment. He went on to say that we are not against tourism, but we are against mass tourism without control. So it couldn't be clearer, could it? Now, this is the point at which I ask you please to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Also to give this video a like if you do indeed like it, and to remind you that we read all of the comments that you put on the site. So if you have a question, a query, or you just want to give us some feedback, please feel free to leave a comment below. I read every single one of them, and I respond if there's a response needed or a question asked without fail. But thank you so much for watching these videos. We really do appreciate every single view that we get. Okay, now we come to that part where I share 3 things that I would recommend you do if you're on the island next week. And the first is on Saturday the 5th of October, and there is an Oktoberfest festival being held at Charco del Palo in the north of the island. Now, you may know that Charco del Palo is a naturist resort. People can wander around there naked, but I'm sure they won't be doing so during the Oktoberfest because they're inviting all kinds of people to come in and enjoy them for Oktoberfest, that sort of classic German festival, which is all about beer and sausages. So there will be bratwurst on sale, there'll be lots of different German beers on sale, currywurst and whatever else you can think of that is typically German. There's also live music, there's entertainment for kids, including the bouncy castle. Entry is free, and it just sounds like a really fun day to me. Unfortunately, we've got other stuff already planned for the 5th of October. Otherwise, I would certainly have gone down there. I've always enjoyed the Oktoberfest that used to be held in Puerto del Carmen. Now, what about the 11th to 13th of October? And there is a gathering of motorcyclists. Nomadas de Lanzerotti are a group of motorcyclists who travel all around the Canary Islands, but they are based here on this island, and generally on a Sunday you'll see them out on a ride together, sometimes 20, 30, 40 motorcycles. They'll ride some of the country roads and then have a coffee or breakfast somewhere on the island. Well, they are having a gathering on those dates, the 11th to the 13th of October. And this is going to take place in Arrecife, so it starts on Friday the 11th and runs all through the weekend until Sunday the 11th, Sunday the 13th, I should say. There's all kinds of things going on, and I'm just going to read down this list and pick a few of them out. There is the arrival of the chicas moteras, so the ladies of the motorcycles, with ambient music from the DJ Jack Miller. There's a rock concert in the evening with Charlie and the Riders. There's going to be orchestral music at 23:45, quarter to 12. On the Saturday, they're doing a ride around the Recinto Ferial. They're going to do a parade at down in Playa Blanca, so they're riding down from Arrecife to Playa Blanca. Again, they'll have live music. And on the Sunday, they'll have the big final parade of the motorcycles before they set off back to Los Dolores, which is where they'll be having a meal. So look out for them around the island. If you look at our What's On page, you can see all of the detail of that program and see if they're appearing in a part of the island that you're on if you're into motorcycles, so you can go along and have a natter and admire their bikes. And finally, I'm going to mention something that happens all the time, but that perhaps many of you will not have heard of, and these are called the Hos Nights, and they are nights that take place every Friday at the Hos del Agua, that beautiful place designed by Cesar Manrique. And they're a real adventure because they start off with a gastronomic meal, and the atmosphere in the restaurant part is absolutely fantastic, with the swimming pool on one side of you and that beautiful lagoon where the blind crabs live on the other side of you. So that's a gastronomic meal, and then using local ingredients, mainly kilometre zero stuff and whatever is seasonal on the island. And then there's always a concert afterwards, and obviously the type of concert and the musicians vary from week to week. But again, if you look at the What's On pages on our website, you'll be able to click through to the Hos Nights website and get the detail of who is on any given week. It's not cheap. I think it's about 98 euros a pop. And one of the drawbacks of the Hos del Agua is that someone will have to drive because there isn't a public transport system that works out there. But it's well worth doing, and I would highly recommend it. And that's it for this week. Thank you again. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll be here same time next week. Look forward to you joining us then. Bye for now, everybody. Bye.